Folks, we're so close to 250,000 subscribers. The more you do that, the more these videos we get to make, and the more we get to show the people who are making Star Trek Prodigy how much we enjoy the show, he says before giving 15 downs in this episode. No, thank you. Yous are all awesome and wonderful, and yous are legends, and we're all gonna go for a pint together. Way. All the world's a stage, they say, and this episode is a bloody fantastic example of that. Written by Aaron Waltke, this is both a loving tribute to the original series and also a really good episode for moving the plot along for the crew of the Protostar. So you might be surprised that I'm going to start with a down. I'm giving this down, but there's a little asterisk, okay? The down is that in the opening scene, we're on board the Dauntless. Janeway is trying to get information out of the Diviner, and the Diviner, of course, is still dealing with the after effects of seeing Zero. Janeway jumps to a conclusion that I don't think makes a lot of sense. She sees the destruction of the relay station. She is given the information that an empty escape pod has been found. Where's he gone? And then she goes, well, whoever is responsible for the destruction of the relay station must therefore be responsible for doing this to the Diviner. Now, she's technically not wrong, because we know it's Zero who put the Diviner in this position, but she assumes this with a, we need to hunt down the parties responsible, as opposed to, let's find out what happened. That's a down. Now, my asterisk is that if she is bluffing the Diviner, I'm going to take this down back, because right now it seems a bit out of character. It seems very jumping to conclusions. If she is trying to bluff the Diviner and to get the Diviner to trust her, I'm going to take that down back. Okay, so right now that is a semi-down. The crew of the Protostar, now knowing that they cannot engage with another Federation starship, still decide to be Starfleet. They respond to a distress call that came in the closing minutes of last week's episode. And I'm very much on board with that, because that's what we see on the journey of these characters so far. That yes, okay, they're no longer really doing it for personal gain. Yes, they do want to show Starfleet that they are trustworthy, that, you know, they're not just out to cause havoc. They're also doing it because it's the right thing. And that to me is pure Starfleet. That is Starfleet through and through. I thought that was a wonderful message to kick this episode off with, and I thought, what a great way. Just let's say you watched this episode in isolation and you had never seen any of Prodigy before, this would be a great one to start with. So I really appreciated that as an up. I have another down. Jankum Pog pretending to be sick to try and not go on the away mission. I thought that was a down because this is not Jankum anymore. Jankum doesn't, he chucks himself in with everything else. And I thought that was a little bit of a belabored point. Murph is undergoing what will be a metamorphosis. Yeah, I can't claim credit for that. That one was coined before I said it. So Murph is genuinely not well. Rok-Tahk is looking after Murph and hands off to hologram Janeway. And Jankum's like, oh, I don't feel well either. But I can't go on an away mission. And of course, no one's buying it. And I just thought, yeah, I'm not buying it either. Not that I don't believe he's sick. I mean, he's not sick, but I don't believe that at this stage in his journey, that would be something he'd come out with. So yeah, for me, that was a down, I'm afraid. We go down to the planet. Hilarity ensues. Aaron, if you're watching this video, just how much fun did you have writing this? It's loving and it's silly. This is fun. So the next up goes to James T and Sulu. I just thought these were hilarious. Obviously, James T is doing the Shatner voice. Now, if you go back, if you have the time to go back and watch all 3 seasons of the original series right now, hit pause, I'll wait. Cool. You'll notice that this voice has, of course, been completely exaggerated throughout the years. He actually didn't speak the way that he's portrayed here. But that's the fun of it. That's the point. James T's impersonation is exactly that. It's an impersonation. It's not a complete replication. And that is bloody fun. Now, I'm not ragging on people who do the voice or whatever, but it's like Chinese whispers. And that's a theme that runs through this episode. That they start with the right information and then just along the way, just gets a little bit twisted. Did William Shatner overpronounce some things? Oh, yes, he did. Yes, he did. But did he do it to the extent that all of the parodies have done it ever since? No, of course he didn't. And yet, that's the fun of parody. And to have it replicated here in such a knowing and loving way, just beaming. And then Sulu, I just look, the little plays on the names. Sprock, you know, you've got the Miracle Worker, you've got Hoorah. I mean, thoroughly enjoyed all of the plays on the names and everything. And it doesn't stop there. When the landing party is brought to the home of these people, they're Enterprisians. Up. I would love to be an Enterprisian. I'm saying it right now. I basically live my life as if I am an Enterprisian. I just thought it was so funny. I hope you did too. I bloody did. Enterprisian. I mean, come on. Basically, petition, change the word Trekkie to Enterprisians. Having given a down to Jankum, I am very happy to give an up to Jankum. And that up is that once we get the sort of nonsense of pretending to be sick out of the way, Engineer Jankum comes out in force. That's what I'm here for, because Jankum is brilliant. I mean, he just chucks himself in. You know, he rolls up his sleeves, so to speak, and just gets right in. So they're investigating. There's a sickness that runs throughout this colony, if you'd like to call it that, called the Gallows. There's two great big staring eyes in the forest, and you know, the people who, you know, they get sick, they get affected. Oh dear. So what do our landing party do? They go to investigate, and they discover the Galileo shuttlecraft up from the original Enterprise. Now, I'll spend a bit of time talking about this now in a moment, but beautiful, first of all, so lovely to see it recreated here in Prodigy. But then also, we see straight away, well, that's your problem. You've got leaking plasma. And not only that, but it's been leaking for the last 100 years, interacting with dilithium crystals in this cavern. That's making people sick. You've got Dal is already sick. You've got Zero there pitching in with Dr. Boone's. I just love it. And Zero is getting frustrated because they can't come up with a cure because they don't know what the sickness is. Boom, we've identified the sickness. The sickness is, it's basically radiation poisoning. Oh dear, but also nice and easy to fix. Once we know what it is, nice and easy to fix. But back in the cavern, Engineer Jankum was a bit like, I've got to figure out what's going on here. We need to communicate with Zero. Our communicators are, you know, they're not working in this, but Jankum knows on that shuttle, there is a powerful communications device. Hoops, he hops in, uses his amazing robot hand as a winch and a tether, which I just loved. Oh, he gets a great line. If I die, make sure I have a royal Tellarite funeral. I'm sorry, that was just, ugh. And yeah, Jankum, after that little stumble in the beginning, Jankum turns out to be one of the most fun characters of the episode. I must give an up to the stage play. So the theme of the episode, All the World's a Stage, of course, we actually see a live action play being performed by the Enterprisians. And I just loved it. And they talk about how Ensign came and saved them all. It's kind of how you would expect, you know, 100 years of retelling a story, little differences there and little differences here. Yeah, you can absolutely imagine this is how things would fall over time. You know, they've recreated the bridge of the original Enterprise. Technically, obviously, the red shirt in question, revealed to them images, told them about the Prime Directive, everything like that, which is, Prime Directive's on fairly shaky ground in this episode. Through his teachings, we have an entire group of people who have styled themselves after a very specific moment of Starfleet history. And to see it celebrated like that on stage, chef's kiss, so much fun. I want to give an up to the inclusion of the character of Garrovick. Garrovick was introduced in the original series in the episode Obsession. He and Kirk faced off against a cloud monster, that is an actual thing, that killed his father while his father and Kirk were serving aboard the USS Farragut. That could have been the last we ever heard of Garrovick, but Here, 100 years later, over in presumably the beta or delta quadrants, we discover Garvik and the shuttlecraft Galileo. Oh, getting a call. Let's go to Cannon Watch.
Hello, Sean. This is Sean Bless for Galaxy Truth Network. This week we discover that the USS Enterprise lost a shuttle. It was the Galileo shuttle, one of the most famous shuttlecrafts in all of Federation history, and it's turned up on this planet. How did it get there? Why was it there? We smell the hand of Section 31. There's no way that a shuttle managed to get that far on its own. It would have burned out. There would have been no way to continue going. They would have run out of life support. How did it get there? It was brought there by covert means to establish a Federation presence that far away. And we have more proof offered to us this week. We will investigate and we will bring you the truth. Back to you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. In fairness, he makes a good point. How the bloody hell did a shuttle get out that far? With the discussion about Garvik leads to this beautiful celebration of the red shirts. The red shirts have always been a running joke in Star Trek since the original series. Now, there was obviously a concerted effort to change that when we get to the next generation. Otherwise, Captain Picard would have died in the first episode. It was pretty sure that if you wore red in the original series and you weren't Scottish, you were going to bite the dust. You know what I mean? Even poor old Uhura got her memory wiped. The fact that Ensign Garvik turns out to be basically the greatest thing that ever happened to the Enterprisians is a wonderful tribute to the enduring legacy of red shirts. That's an up for me. In fact, that's a latinum up for me. Because it's not just a joke at Star Trek's expense. We have those dotted throughout the episode. This is a loving nod to the red shirts overall. Like, if you think of some of the horrid fates that befell the red shirts in the original series, actually on that, make sure you check out our video where we rank all of the red shirts' deaths. Takes that and it runs with it and it has fun. Yes, Garvik is dead long before the protostar ever arrived at this planet, and yet he's remembered so lovingly. There's a shrine with the red shirt in it and his little phaser underneath it as well. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. There's also the fact that in the episode Obsession Garvik was in, he was the only red shirt to survive. So, he is the eternal survivor, which I thought was just fun. So that's why this is my lightning up, because the message behind this episode is one of loving tribute. It's just nice. I know that's a terrible description because it doesn't really tell you anything, but it's just nice. Now, not to belabor a point, but actually I have one more up just here, is that there is a line that is said that is it's Star Trek to a T. You don't have to have a starship to believe in what Starfleet stands for. If that isn't Star Trek through and through, I don't know what is. The Protostar away team, they managed to fix the radiation leak, everyone's happy, dodgy Prime Directive ground, but not gonna lie, and no explanation as to how the shuttle got there, although, yep, Sean Blass has a point. We close the episode on Murph in their metamorphosis pod, so I look forward to seeing what a melanoid slime worm looks like next week. Now, would you care to join me at Cetacean Observations? Lots of nice ones in this week. We have a phaser rifle toward the start of the episode. We have The Game from The Game. The planet is an M-class planet. What TOS stuff, don't we? We've got TOS phaser. We've got this quilt work uniform of the science division. Sulu, James T, Miracle Worker, Dr. Boons, Sprock, Hora, no Chekhov. Live, logs, and prosper. Up. Live, logs, and prosper, everyone. Just brilliant. The original communicator, the Federation, the ship that's basically the Hiawatha class. Again, don't really know how it got there, but sure. New Enterprise. Oh my good lord. Someone's doing a two-handed punch in the background. That's an up from me. We've got a head smash as well. We've got the TOS view screen and console. Yep, Just gas. What we also have is the whistle that we often hear when they're doing a shipwide announcement. When they're doing the play, someone's beating the drum and they all do the wobble to show that they're, okay? That's an up from me. Ensigns, Universe, and Phaser, the shuttlecraft Galileo. Like, how did it get there? But still, 23rd century Class F shuttlecraft. There's a scene I deliberately left to station ops because it's just so much fun. And it's when Dal brings some of the Enterprisians up to the protostar and, to help them fly it. Which is, Hologram Janeway reconfigures the bridge to be the original series bridge. Up that they can do that, I would like to see that come back again. And then you have Sulu go, my. You knew that was getting an up. We have the original series theme plays over this scene. I'm going to call it a volcano. It's not a volcano, but that explosion that happens after the Galileo falls into that lake of radiation and, the protostar flies away from it. Strong Nibiru scenes in Into Darkness themes there. Live long and prosper. And we have a Melanoid slime worm. I just love throwing him in there. That is everything for our list today, folks. Did you enjoy this episode? I hope you did. I hope you did. This was fun. It was nice. It's a good introduction episode. It's a good one for legacy viewers. This one really worked for me. As I say, one of our downs has the asterisk beside it, so you never know. You never know. We could end up taking that back. What did you think? Let us know in the comments. Let us know on socials as well, because you can follow us on Twitter at Trek Culture, and you can follow us over on Instagram as well at Trek Culture YT. You can follow myself at Sean Ferrick on the various socials, and you can follow Chris at EditChrisEdit on Twitter as well. Folks, until I see you again, look after yourselves. To our friends in Ukraine, keep going. It is a scary time. You are incredibly brave and incredibly resilient. We are so, so proud of you. To our friends in Iran, it is very scary there at the moment. Please, again, keep going. And everyone, please keep discussing this online. Silence is the enemy. So let's not let that happen. Everyone, have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful few days. Live long and prosper. Make it so.